Hi, my name is Tanya Hosch. I live on Kaurna country in Adelaide. Have a Torres Strait Islander father, Welsh mother, born in Adelaide, and when I was 3 weeks old was adopted into a family with an Aboriginal father who's a Durrard man from New South Wales and a white mother. I'm Executive General Manager of Inclusion and Social Policy at the AFL. Why is family and country important to you? Not growing up in my culture and not growing up on my country by my waters has been something that I guess I'm still grieving over. But having said that, I've been surrounded for a long time now by so many amazing Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who do have that incredible connection to country. It's quite hard when you don't have that connection from a young age. It's pretty confronting, but it's something that I have deep respect for, and really privileged to see that expression through so many wonderful people that I know. Who is a strong woman in your life? How much time have we? I'm really fortunate to say that my mum, Jan, was an incredibly strong woman, really determined to her life and ensure her family was happy and safe and well cared for. My mum died of ovarian cancer almost a year ago now, and I miss her every single day. Someone who's always on your side, and someone who cared for me deeply. I had a very special relationship with my mum. Who in your life has demonstrated to you what resilience really means and looks like? Wow. My parents, they had 3 children before they adopted me. Their firstborn and only son was killed in a car accident when he was 16 years old. Mum couldn't have any more children naturally, and so that's why I was adopted. When I was 19, my middle sister, who was about 12 years older than me, was killed in a car accident as well with 2 of her 3 children and the driver of the car. And, you know, I think now that I'm a mother, I've got a brand new appreciation for the love you have for your mother and the love you have for your children. And I always knew and sensed in the family the grief that had occurred through, you know, too many losses, but in particular for mum and dad to have lost a child, and then for them to lose a second child and 2 grandchildren, and see their resilience and how love kept the family together, kept them together, and how no matter how grief-stricken they were, kept going forward and still created a loving environment for the family. It's an example of resilience that I think is incredible. As an Indigenous woman, how has football shaped you and your community? Going to the football with my dad, going to local footy grounds and watching, even in school competitions, noticing that the only time I ever heard Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people for and respected and acknowledged was when they were doing great things on the sporting field, and football was the main place where I saw that. And that, I think, is where I fell in love with the game, because it instilled in me just for a moment that, you know, being a person of colour, having brown skin was not a bad thing, whereas there were so many other messages, predominantly speaking, that sent the very opposite we're thinking about it consciously or not, that sense of belonging, of being around other people, cheering for the same result, and being in awe of some of the excellence we see on field is one of the reasons that I think we love to go and see men and women play the game, and certainly enjoying it as much now as I ever did. What is my greatest fear? Not really sure, to be honest. I think having watched people, including my mum, lose their lives way too early because of cancer, diabetes, chronic illness, in ways that I think the quality of life was disrupted way too early because of the lack of education and access to the right support services. And so, I guess my greatest fear is that me and anyone I love and know and care about are going through, health difficulties without a resolution that keeps people well. What do you think is the most important issue concerning Australia? I think justice and equity are so critical. When I think about the increasing numbers of Aboriginal women in custody, when I think about the disproportionate rates of Aboriginal women and men in custody, the huge number of our young people in custody, often for quite minor offences, the fact that we still have this unacceptable rate of death in custody, when I think about what the research tells us about the extraordinary and detrimental impact on brain development and well-being on young people who in this country can be, at the age of 10, be put in the back of a police wagon and strip searched in a police cell. That kind of trauma, that kind of experience is an experience of young people around Australia, and I believe it's something that as a country we must do better on. What would you say to your younger self? That it's going to be okay. There were times growing up where the racism I experienced, the sexism that I experienced, I didn't know how to talk about. That sense of disconnection and distance from who I was, and working through my identity, given my background, was really, really challenging, and it was really scary. And I've just been so fortunate in the support and cultural guidance, the love that I've had demonstrated to me through family and friends for my whole life has really helped me to have the courage to step into those conversations that are difficult. And, just to say, it's going to be okay, Tanya. You will get to a point where, as hard as this is right now, it will get easier, and you will be more at peace with your story. What do I want the future to look like? I want the future to be fairer. We still have too much injustice in Australia and in the world. There are still too many people who suffer because of disadvantage that they didn't create. I'm worried about climate change, and I want for us to be better as a nation at leading on those things and really understanding what we need to do together. And I guess I like the idea of thinking that, the world will be safer. When you think about the issues of safety, particularly for women and children, it's really frightening. And so to think that we could have a fairer, safer, cleaner world, to set that right example for future generations, and to make sure that the legacy of the generations that are here now does the right thing, does the best thing that we can, so that everyone has an equal chance of living their best life.